Greetings and welcome to another Pokemon 2019 or Pokemon Journeys anime episode review. This time I'm talking about episode 48, so let's get to it. Now before we get to the actual review, I just want to say that yes, it is weird that I am uploading a review for episode 48 so late. This episode aired over 55 days ago and Pokemon Journeys is currently up to episode 53. So it is quite late to be uploading a review for episode 48, especially after I have already uploaded reviews for episodes 49, 50, and 51. The reason why I am uploading this review now is because someone requested that I review episode 48 on my episode 49 review, so here we are. Now, why did I not review episode 48 initially when it first aired, you might ask? Well, because I basically only review the really good or exciting episodes. Episodes where something major happens. Episodes where Ash catches a Pokemon. Episodes where a character other than Ash has a major catch. Episodes that feature a battle. Basically the kind of episodes that you get hyped for, which are the most interesting ones to discuss and review. And they are also the ones that garner the most attention, meaning that they are better at getting views. This is why I did not review episode 48 initially, and why I never reviewed episodes like 47, 41, and 24, just to name a few. I also never go back to review episodes long after they have aired like I did now with episode 48, but since it was requested by a viewer, I decided to go back and review this episode. So, episode 48 begins in the Unova Region, more specifically in Castelia City. Ash and Goh are here to take part in the all-you-can-eat tour. Access to this tour is something that Goh received as a prize for winning the Pokemon eating contest in the previous episode, episode 47. Ash sends out Lucario and Goh sends out Cinderace. They then decide to eat Castelia's famous ice cream or Castelia cone to start off their tour. Meanwhile, Team Rocket are posing as ice cream sellers, waiting for Ash so that they can steal Pikachu. Now, I do wonder how they knew that Ash and Goh would start their tour with the ice cream. They knew that Ash and Goh were going on the tour because Team Rocket also participated in the Pokemon eating contest. So, they did know that Goh won the contest, so he got access to this tour. So they did know that Ash and Goh would go on the tour, but I do wonder how they knew that Ash and Goh would start with the ice cream since they chose to disguise themselves as ice cream sellers from the get-go. Now their plan this time is to switch Ash's Pikachu with a fake robot Pikachu that Meowth created. Meowth calls this robot pretty much Pikachu because it's exactly like a Pikachu, but it says Hika and Hikachu instead of Pika and Pikachu, which if you ask me is a pretty big oversight. Meowth says that this robot Pikachu is pretty much real. It has the same feel and temperature as a real Pikachu. Now this is funny because if he can get it to be so real, down to even the temperature, then surely he can get it to say Pika and Pikachu as well, but I guess for the sake of the comedy, he couldn't. Meowth does admit that he could not replicate the sound, but he does not say why. Jesse and James say that it's okay, the brat boy probably won't notice since everything else apart from the sound is the same as a real Pikachu. Ash and Goh arrive right there and they order their ice cream. Jesse says that they can get extra toppings because it's the anniversary of the Castelia cone. Goh refuses, but Ash decides to get his toppings plus the toppings that were meant for Goh, so Ash gets double the toppings, which leads to him getting a massive ice cream that would be difficult to eat in real life. It turns out that this is part of Team Rocket's plan. Since the ice cream is huge, Ash will be distracted trying to eat it, which means that it will be easier for Team Rocket to swap Pikachu with pretty much Pikachu. Goh offers some ice cream to Cinderace, who happily takes the ice cream. Ash offers some ice cream to Lucario, but Lucario refuses. So Cinderace gets his ice cream and then everyone sits down to eat. Now Cinderace approaches Lucario and then offers some ice cream to Lucario, which leads to an amusing exchange, and I think it would be funny if I just voice it, so here I go. Hey, do you want some? Oh, come on, don't be like that. Here, have some. It's good. What? Oh, my bad. It's no big deal. Here, let me. Get off me. What? Hey, what do you do that for? You wasted some perfectly good ice cream. I really wanted to eat it. Well, it's not my fault. You were the one who was trying to force me to eat it. Hey, don't blame me for it. Now, hopefully that wasn't too cringy. So after that exchange, Ash gives some ice cream to Pikachu and he leaves to wash his hands. Team Rocket sneak up to Pikachu and they put pretty much Pikachu next to him. They try to take the real Pikachu, but they stop since Goh screams because Ash's ice cream, which Ash left with Goh, is melting. Pikachu notices pretty much Pikachu and he starts playing around with it before Team Rocket can attempt the swap again. The two Pikachu move around and they swap places so Team Rocket loses track of which one is which. They try to listen for the Hika sound to distinguish them. Ash's Pikachu splits the stick that he used to eat ice cream in half and he gives one half to pretty much Pikachu. They both chew on it, but pretty much Pikachu eats the whole stick. Since it's a robot, it can eat it just fine. Ash's Pikachu follows suit and he eats the stick too, but since he's not a robot, he can't eat it, so he coughs it out. In this state of nearly choking, Pikachu's Pika turns into a Hika. So Team Rocket think that Ash's Pikachu is the fake, so they take pretty much Pikachu instead. What a fail. If only they would have used their eyes instead, they could have seen that one of the Pikachu ate the stick, which is made of wood, just fine. So, Team Rocket takes pretty much Pikachu and they drive off on a bicycle. Meanwhile, Lucario and Cinderace are moping off on their own separately, still mad after their previous confrontation. Team Rocket then drives past both of them. Cinderace notices that Team Rocket have a Pikachu, which Cinderace thinks is Ash's Pikachu, so it chases after Team Rocket. Lucario also chases after Team Rocket. Team Rocket spots them and Meowth fires a sticky goo at Lucario and Cinderace that sticks them together. They both keep running together despite this, but they run past a pole that would have been harmless, except that the goo they have gets stuck on the pole, and since they kept running, the goo kept going with them, so it stretches out until it can't stretch out anymore. Lucario and Cinderace are then catapulted into the sky as a result. However, they fall into another pole and the same thing happens again, but this time, they fly over Team Rocket, which lets Lucario take pretty much Pikachu. Cinderace and Lucario keep running with Pikachu in hand, but they get distracted by their success and they run into yet another pole, and yet again they are catapulted into the sky, this time with pretty much Pikachu in hand. This entire sequence of Lucario and Cinderace flying from side to side reminds me of old cartoons like Tom and Jerry or Looney Tunes, and it's honestly pretty funny. While Lucario and Cinderace are struggling, Ash, Goh, and the real Pikachu continue to enjoy their all-you-can-eat tour by eating Watch Hog buns, another Unova specialty. Goh does wonder what's keeping Lucario and Cinderace, and so the episode changes to their perspective. They are being chased throughout the city by Team Rocket, who are now in their balloon. Team Rocket corner Lucario and Cinderace, who try to do their own thing, but the goo keeps them from straying too far away from each other, and it pulls them into each other when they try to get away. They are both angered because the other one is essentially getting in the way. As they argue, Meowth tries to use the goo again, but Cinderace avoids it. However, Cinderace crashes into Lucario as a result, and for whatever reason, this launches them both into the sky. They hilariously end up flying all over the city as they keep bouncing off pipes, streetlights, and other objects. Again, this reminds me of old cartoons. It even has the same physics. They end up flying straight into Team Rocket and they take Team Rocket along for the ride. Meanwhile, Ash, Goh, and the real Pikachu continue to enjoy their food. They eat another Unova delicacy, the Crustal Cake. I just love how you can see Lucario, Cinderace, and Team Rocket bouncing around in the background. Lucario, Cinderace, and Team Rocket finally crash into the ground. Team Rocket demand to get Pikachu back, but Lucario and Cinderace refuse, so Team Rocket call for their gacha machine. The machine gives them a sock and a throw. Lucario puts Pikachu down and it gets ready to battle alongside Cinderace. Sock starts the battle with a low sweep. Lucario gets ready to avoid it, but Cinderace jumps, which throws Lucario off, and Lucario ends up getting hit with the low sweep. Lucario is launched back and it takes Cinderace along with it. Throw then uses Circle Throw on Cinderace, but because Cinderace is stuck to Lucario, Throw sends them both flying. I love how Lucario lands gracefully, but then Cinderace crashes into Lucario, ruining the cool landing. Lucario and Cinderace continue to struggle with the sticky goo and they end up crashing into each other. Sock then uses Brick Break while Throw uses Vital Throw. Both attacks connect, dealing damage to both Lucario and Cinderace. Cinderace then stands up like it has an idea, which is to take the goo and use it to swing Lucario around like crazy. Then it throws Lucario towards Sock. Lucario uses Force Palm to land a clean hit on Sock using the momentum from Cinderace's toss. Basically, Cinderace uses Lucario as a weapon. Lucario then does the same thing and it launches Cinderace towards Throh. Cinderace uses Blaze Kick to defeat Throh. The force of this second toss breaks the goo, so Lucario and Cinderace are free at last. Lucario uses Aura Sphere and Cinderace uses Pyro Ball. Both attacks combine and they hit Team Rocket, who blast off again. So in the end, Lucario and Cinderace were forced to work together, which allowed them to finally get along. This is a classic trope that has been used in a ton of anime, movies, and TV shows. Two characters that don't like each other are forced to work together, and they end up as friends afterwards. Or at least they grow to respect or tolerate one another. And usually when this trope is used, the characters are forced to work together because they are handcuffed or tied to each other or linked by some mysterious magic or something. So in this episode, this trope was used to its full extent. Now Lucario notices that Pikachu is gone. The episode then cuts to Team Rocket as they fly away, and Wobbuffet reveals that it took Pikachu with it. Jessie rejoices because they got Pikachu, but pretty much Pikachu takes off the goo from its mouth and it says Pikachu, so Team Rocket realized that they had the wrong Pikachu all along. Meowth then says that it sure is a good replica, which annoys Jessie and James as they all fly off. The episode then cuts to Ash and Goh, who are full from all the eating. Lucario and Cinderace run towards them in a panicked state because they think that Team Rocket took Pikachu. Pikachu then peeks out all innocent like, what's going on? Lucario and Cinderace have the funniest reaction like, what? How? What was all of our suffering for? They then fall to the ground in despair, realizing that Pikachu was safe all along and they didn't have to go through all that trouble. In the end, everything that Team Rocket, Lucario, and Cinderace did in this episode was meaningless. Ash wonders if Lucario and Cinderace are hungry, so Goh hands them some food. Cinderace happily starts eating, but Lucario looks at Cinderace like, really? How can you even eat with a smile after all of that? Lucario does wipe some food off Cinderace's face, which is what Cinderace tried to do for Lucario earlier in the episode. This shows that Lucario did learn to be a little nicer to Cinderace. Though Cinderace then returns the kindness by forcing Lucario to eat, and it dirties Lucario's face, which is what happened earlier in the episode. Lucario angrily chases after Cinderace, meaning that while they do get along better now after everything they went through together, they still have ways to go. And that's the episode. Overall, this was a fun and enjoyable episode. It really did remind me of old cartoons, and it was just a hilarious episode. It was one of those episodes where the Pokemon really get to shine as characters, since the episode centers almost entirely around them, so everything they say or feel is conveyed via their tone, expression, and body language. It's really fun to interpret what the Pokemon mean or say at every turn. This episode also showed that Ash's Lucario is now the mature, cool lone wolf type after evolving, while before, it was more silly and carefree when it was a Riolu. While Cinderace did the complete opposite. It was the quiet lone wolf type as a reboot, but then it evolves into a happy-go-lucky, gluttonous, and funny Cinderace. The fact that they have opposite personalities is what leads to them clashing in this episode, which was fun to see, and by the end they grow to be closer as friends while still bickering whenever they can, so this episode was very good at showcasing and developing Lucario and Cinderace's personality and their friendship. I was also a huge fan of Pretty Much Pikachu, since it leads to a fun twist in the end, since Lucario, Cinderace, and Team Rocket discovered that they were tricked by the double all along and the real Pikachu was never in any danger, so everything they did in this episode was for nothing. This episode was just a joy to watch and I was laughing the whole way through. But that's the video. As always, leave your own thoughts down in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did and would like to see more like it, then please consider subscribing to my channel. I love Pokemon and I love making videos on both the anime and the games. Also, please consider clicking the links on screen so that you can check out more videos like this right away. Thank you very much for watching, and let's meet again in the next video.